What is up? In this video we are going to look at why suicide rates are at their highest since World War II and who are the three main culprits behind it. So a few weeks back, the US Center for Diseases and Controls released a study that showed that US suicide rates are at their highest since World War II. Crazy stat. And as with a lot of suicide statistics, typical of suicide statistics, male suicide rates were 3 times as high as female rates, but worryingly, female rates of suicide are rising higher than male ones, and very scarily, the highest and the fastest growing group of suicide users was boys and girls aged 10 to 14. So this is a very, very, very serious problem that is not just touching one class or one group of people, it is touching everyone in all corners of society. So who are the main 3 culprits behind this? One of the authors of the study, Aaron Miron from the Harvard Medical School, cited opioid use as one of the probable causes. So opioids are a painkiller drug here in the US, and there is an opioid epidemic right now because they are super addictive, and according to Miron, they can lead to suicidal tendencies in abusers of the drugs. So you have to look at why people are using these opioids. There's clearly a pain barrier being felt in society that people are looking to these opioids to numb that pain that they are feeling. And this has got to go deep, and we got to understand why people are turning to these opioids. It may not even be opioids. You could look to other harmful and abusive drugs, but opioids, being as available as they are now, are the one that are really stealing the headlines and stealing lives as a result of it. So we have to look at why people are turning to these drugs. What pains are they trying to hide or blotch out or not feel? And that again is a conversation that people in society, we need to start having more. It's like, why feel the pain? Instead of burying it away and turning to drugs or alcohol, we need to look at why we're feeling this pain, and that is something that as a society we can really work towards communicating more to each other and to ourselves to really get that inner monologue going, instead of just turning to drugs to cover it up, which leads down a bad path. The second theory that Miron has is related to social media use, and I think this is particularly relevant for the younger echelons of society. So think back before social media times, even before internet times, bullying has always been around, and I think transcends generations of people. But the big problem we have today with social media is, how do you escape your bully? Your bully can target you on Facebook, Instagram. There's even sites now where bullies can anonymously target people, and that is a scary thought for any young kids, teenagers out there, particularly in the study 10 to 14, where it's rising rapidly, where bullying is rampant at those ages. And I'm sure there's a lot of teenagers and kids out there who feel like they cannot escape their bully. When they're at school, they're there. When they're online, they're there. How do they escape? And honestly, I don't really have a good answer for this. Social media is always going to be around for good and for bad, so people are going to complain about it, and yes, that is right and wrong, but rather than complain anything, we need to figure out how we reevaluate our relationship with social media and figure out a healthy way forward so it doesn't become a playground for bullying and harassment like it evidently is at times in society. The third factor cited in the study that is potentially contributing towards this increase in suicide is an increase in stress. As I mentioned in a previous video, 85% of Americans in 2018 hated their jobs. And if you factor in you spend most of your life working minimum, normally 40 hours a week, and if you hate those 40 hours a week, that is going to be stressful. And add on to that we're working harder, we're working longer hours, and pay isn't really rising as much as it should be, and the things that are rising are bills, and the things that are rising are rent. So people are getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed, and the stress is increasing and increasing and increasing. So we can see why people feel this bleakness, this hopelessness that drives them towards suicide. And it is a scary thought that these people feel hopelessness, and with culmination of that and social media use and the opioid use, this stress can lead to feelings of loneliness exacerbated by social media, where now we're spending more time looking down at our phones. Again, not a criticism, just a reality check. And we can feel cut off from people, cut off from society, and that in turn can lead to opioid use. And you get all these three going in cycle with each other: the loneliness, the drug abuse, the stress, and you've got this perfect storm leading to what I would think is a strong platform for people to start even considering the possibility of suicide. So these are scary thoughts, scary statistics, scary times, but I don't have an all-in-one answer for this, and I don't think anybody really should, but I think the right first step is to start talking about these issues, open up a conversation, and then solutions, whether societal, personal, or on whatever scale is appropriate, can start to come to the fore. But first thing is, the stigma needs to be smashed. It needs to be absolutely destroyed if we're gonna go any way towards fixing these problems that are clearly rampant in society, and they don't show any signs of stopping. It is going to be up to each of us on our own level, whatever we can do to start the conversation and hopefully make a change for the better. So a scary statistic that suicide rates are at their highest since World War II, but it's often at our lowest times. We can look historically that we've come up with our greatest solutions, and hopefully this serves as a trajectory to leapfrog and jumpstart the conversation that we need to have about mental health, to change the stigma, change the conversation, and hopefully change these statistics and get them going the opposite way. Let me know what you think, if there's other factors that are majorly leading to these huge increases in suicide rates, and what you think is a potential solution. And as always, if you enjoy this content, please consider liking, subscribing, and let your mind roar. Peace.